Okay, today we're talking about adjusting your chain. Now, if you've got a train-driven motorcycle, you're going to at some point have to adjust that chain. So let's walk through some of the basics on chain adjustment. And what you're going to need is your owner's manual, which you want to read through your manual and familiarize yourself with the requirements on adjusting that chain on your specific bike. You want to have some work gloves, of course, or disposable gloves, safety goggles, shop rag. And after you're done adjusting that chain, you may need to lube it, chain lube. If it's dirty, you might want to clean it too. Some of the tools, now it's going to be really dependent on what's on your bike, but it's always good to have an assortment of socket wrenches, box wrenches, open end if you need it, and then some smaller ones. A lot of bikes have a 10 and 12 on the back adjustment. Last resort is the big adjustable if you're having trouble opening up that or loosening up that back axle. Okay, and so it's good to have your smartphone or your tablet with you and watch the Ride 2W video while you work on your bike. Okay, let's put our safety goggles on, our gloves, and let's head on over to the motorcycle and adjust the chain. Okay, got our. Assuming you've already gone through, inspecting the chain, and you've looked at it. Again, a quick way to do it. See if it's loose, just put 2 fingers under there. If you can, move it a lot, and you can fit actually 3 in there or more, you've got a lot of slack in that chain. The best way to do it, of course, is go through and follow your instructions in measuring your slack in your owner's manual. We've got a video on the Ride 2W site that shows you how to do that. Okay, so let's go through some of the basics. Now, really, how this works is, your wheel is attached to the motorcycle on what's called a swing arm, and it slides back and forth within that swing arm, the axle and the wheel, so you can adjust that chain, the tension on that chain. As your chain wears, it stretches out a little bit, so periodically you are going to have to adjust that. Most of your adjustments will be ones where you're reducing the slack, you're pushing that wheel back. Okay, if you get to a point where you can't adjust it anymore, then a chance you stretch that chain out pretty far, and you're going to want to remove some links, or the best thing to do is to replace the whole chain. Okay, so let's start with loosening up the axle. So you may have 1 or 2 nuts on the motorcycle. This particular motorcycle has, we've got on this side here, we've got a 17, and then on the other side, we've got a 22. So we're going to loosen those up. Okay. This may require, a little bit of elbow grease to get them loosened up. Okay, because they can be on there pretty tight, and you want them on there really tight. Okay, so once you've got these loosened up, okay, you're now going to be able to go in and freely move that axle. Okay, and what you're really going to do again is you're going to want to slide that axle back, and adjust the slack in that chain. Now, it's very important that you move both sides back the same distance on the motorcycle, because if you've got one back farther than the other, that wheel's going to be out of alignment, and when that chain comes around, it's not going to be running straight, and could create some problems for you, dangerous situation, and even some additional wear on the various motorcycle parts. Okay, so you want to spend a lot of time making sure that you've got equal distance on both sides. And what you do is you want to get down in there and look right in there, and you can see you've got some adjustments. There's usually a hash mark on the frame, and then you've got a series of hash marks on the adjustment piece inside there. And you want to check that on both sides, see where you are, count the number of hashes that are in there. So again, you want to make sure that you've got equal number of hashes on both sides. It's in the exact same position, and that'll ensure that you've got the wheel back the same distance on both sides of that swing arm or the frame of the motorcycle. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is you've already got that axle loosened up so it can move back and forth, in the frame or the swing arm. So now you're going to want to loosen up your adjustment lock nut, which usually is a 10. Okay, it's a smaller one, typically on the outside. So you're going to want to loosen that up. Okay. Okay, it may take a little bit to get that loose, and you want to make sure you get it on both sides. Okay, we've got that loosened up. Okay, and you want to make sure it's freely moving. Okay, we've got that moving freely. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take and move the adjustment nut here, either clockwise or counterclockwise, to adjust the slack in the chain. Now, turning it clockwise, okay, again, away from you, you will, reduce some of the slack in that chain. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move that slightly, and you want to inspect your chain as you do that. Okay, you can use your measurement and measure it through. All right, and then you're going to want to go right in there and look on your hash mark and see what kind of distance you've moved that. Go on the other side. Okay, and again, you're going to want to do the same thing with this adjustment. Okay. So again, we're going to want to go in, and we're going to want to make sure that we move the adjustment bolt, okay, so that we have the same number of hash marks, okay, on this side as we do on the other side. All right, so again, it's very important, all right, that you have the same amount of distance here as you do here. So once you've got that, double checked, all right, you're going to want to go back and now tighten up. Okay, we're going to want to tighten up our axle nuts. Okay, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to double check and make sure that you have the same equal amount of distance on the each side of that axle. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to go in and make sure that you had the wrong wrench there. You want to make sure that you tighten up your lock nuts on both sides. Okay, so you do the other side. You've got that all tightened up there. Okay, now it's good to go back and do one more final check. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3. We're almost on the fourth there, right? On that side, sure. 2, 3, right on the fourth there. And there we go. So we've got actually some great measurement. Now we can go back and check the chain. See if we've got good distance. I got 2 fingers nice and snug. I'll double check here. See what we got. And we're right in there within that inch. Okay, again, we want to make sure we've got the slack right in there. What the calls for in the manual, this bike it's an inch. So up we go. Right there. Pretty good. I can go a little tighter if I want to, but I'm going to leave it right there.